Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, again, your guys's chapters are 4 to 7, and we're actually so you guys have noticed, at least in this class, the week has kind of gotten down. We are going to crank it up, literally the 3 weeks before Christmas. Okay. You're gonna have the worksheet. We're gonna go over interfaces really quickly. Okay. You're gonna have another exam. I'm literally gonna try to fit 2 exams in 3 weeks. I'm not gonna give you a final hard test, whatever. Okay. But I will be giving you. So here's the thing we're going to be doing. We're going to be learning interfaces. We're not going to go through abstract classes. We're not going to go through polymorphism, recursion, array lists. We still have a lot that we have to cover, but we're going to learn interfaces and how they relate to classes basically as well. Okay. That is the last thing that we are going to do. After that, boom, you guys will get a 20-question multiple choice exam. They will be all AP questions. It will count. For some of you that have been doing bad on my multiple choice, you guys probably should be saying like a prayer of relief, because you guys have for the most part agreed that the AP questions are easier than my questions. Has that basically been a consensus? Okay. So for the most part, good. All right. So that being said, with today's class, same thing that I did last class. I'm leaving it up to you guys. Okay. You're more, if you feel like you've got everything down, and again, okay, remember that we're done for basically today. Okay. I'm not going to give you guys, there's no exam. I'm not going to trick you or say, oh, by the way, do this, do this. You guys have your assignment. If you feel like you're comfortable and you feel like you've got everything for the most part, you are more than welcome to leave. Okay. I did have some kids that basically took the entire class and just needed extra help with inheritance and other questions. I have no problem. My Eclipse is up and ready to go. I'm fine with that. If you feel like you got it, then you got it. You're good. But if you feel like you want to ask some questions, this is the class to do some refinement. I'm sorry I'm giving you a Thanksgiving assignment, but again, compared to most, I don't think it's that much. It's only about 30 to 40 pages of reading, and it goes by fast. Okay. So it's up to you guys. Yes. Okay. So Allie girl, what's up?
What's the plan for the Monday and Tuesday before break?
What's the plan for what?
For the Monday and Tuesday before break, because those days are supposed to be optional.
Oh, so okay, I'll leave that to you guys. So what do you guys want? So some of you guys said my plan was Monday. You guys said Tuesday in last class on Monday, people said they wanted to meet. On Tuesday, they were like, no, we're good. Okay. They were like, that's fine. The only thing I ask is if we can meet Monday, if we can do it Monday night so that I can include the international students. So that way you don't have to worry about class during the day or the hour and stuff like that, and I can get prepped. Now, if you can only meet Tuesday, I have no problem meeting with you Tuesday. I really don't. I have no issue with that. The only thing I ask is, could we do it in the evening? Because I'm going to be driving to Lake Tahoe. Okay. So does anybody have an issue with that? Okay. I think Kennedy, you're on a flight, aren't you?
Not as of yesterday because of COVID-19.
Oh no, you canceled?
They made us cancel because the airline said that with California's new restrictions, our flight combination wouldn't work because we have to quarantine there for 2 weeks and then here for 2 weeks when we get back.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, see, that's what I'm wondering. So that's weird. I'm wondering, wait a minute, California has new quarantines? Because I'm driving to Nevada, to Lake Tahoe.
I would check to see if Nevada has any, because I know for Baltimore, because it's like the city, all the numbers are rising, and here they're rising. And California created a new law that said for the airlines, if you have passengers who are flying to and from a destination that has like X amount of COVID numbers, then you have, and they're within a week, you have to cancel it because it's not following Corona guidelines.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, that sucks. Okay, that's actually good to know. I'm actually going to make a call then to find out if that's, oh, wow, that's interesting. Okay, cool. That's good to know. All right. Does anybody else have any issues? Everybody else, for the most part, seems like they're okay. Okay, good. So that being said, does that cover that, Allie?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, next. All right, anybody, any questions?
So we're just gonna do.
Again, also giving you a heads up, we can cover anything is fair game.
So we're just gonna do a general review session on those 2 days, right?
I wouldn't say it's a review session. I'm just literally gonna it's office hours. I'm just gonna keep it up to you.
Okay.
It's literally up to you.
I know there's a bunch of like practice free response that you can find on the AP website, but
Yes.
all the multiple choice on the AP Classroom and on Adhesive, it's all like closed. So can you open that so we can get like practice in multiple choice?
Yeah, absolutely. I can do that.
Thank you.
So do me a favor, email me later tonight to do that, and I'll do that. Okay.
Okay.
How many of you have been using the AP Classroom? How many of you have been finding the questions to be pretty easy on the AP Classroom for the most part? How many of you would think mine are definitely more difficult? Okay, that's good to see. All right, okay. Again, guys, it goes to being bored. If you're bored, I'm doing my job. Okay. If you're like, oh, recursion, this again, I'm doing my job. Okay. So that when you get on a multiple choice, you're like, okay, this is cake. All right. Okay. So any questions? That being said, any questions regarding inheritance, anything?
This is an inheritance, but can you go over compare to?
Dot compare to?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. That's not a problem. Okay, so let's say, for example, you go here, share screen. Okay, so let's say, for example, I have two strings, okay? And I have string X equals hello, okay? And I have string Y equals hello. And I do compare to, okay? Whoops. And I say X dot compare to Y, okay? Now, what is this going to give me? Now, again, the key thing that I want you to, again, when they do this, is they're more than likely going to give you some excess work, okay? So what I'm looking at right now is this, okay? So I have X dot compare to Y. I looked for the first discrepancy. So for example, the first discrepancy is the first letter, okay? H to H, I look for that first discrepancy. Now, again, this relates to the ASCII table, okay? This is going to give me a negative number. I believe negative 32, okay? Yeah, all right. And what's gonna happen is this. Imagine that you have a strip of paper, okay? And the capital letters go down like this, and then you have the lowercase letters. So I have the capital H on my string of letters. I have to go to lowercase h, which means I'm taking steps down. If I'm going down, I'm going negative. So I'm dropping 32 steps. If I'm going up, so let's say I go to a lowercase, okay, like this, right? Then what happens basically is this. I've started lower and I'm working my way up, which is going to give me a positive 32. Now, if both match, you're just going to get a 0, okay? Just like that, all right? That's the compare to method, all right? Now, you will get string comparison to string. You're not going to get, I have to double check, but you're not going to, a lot of people don't use object compare to object. Most people will do object dot equals object, okay? And the reason, and the dot equals basically, when, I remember I told you guys this, when you're comparing one object to another object. Strings are easy. X dot equals Y. That's easy. When you're doing an object, what it looks for is it's looking at the constructors. If the constructor parameters are exactly the same, it will yield a true. If they're different, it yields a false. So that's what compare to is. Compare to, just drill it in your head, Kennedy, ASCII. ASCII, ASCII, ASCII. I find, and that my letters start here. The key thing that people think is this, is they think, oh, I'm going 32 away. They get confused with the negatives and positives. So you're at the top of the stairs with the capitals. You're going down the stairs to get the lowers, you're going up the stairs to get to the capitals. Okay, so if I'm going up, it's a positive. If I'm going down, it's a negative. Okay, does that help?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Again, guys, we got the time. Okay, we got the time.
Could you go over what exactly super does with like a methods? So not when you use it in your constructor, but when you use it in
So you
Like
got
the
to
super.can vote, right?
yeah. So for example, like in this question right here, okay, this was just one somebody asked. Okay, so the minute that I open up, so I have a set age that I have inherited, right? Okay, I have a set age that I've inherited. All right. The minute that I open up a curly brace and it is the same name and same parameters as a method that I've inherited, method overriding happens. This is now completely gone. It's completely gone. Okay. And what we can do, and basically that's the reason we do that, is because sometimes people want to, when they're inheriting the class, they want their method to do something differently. Sometimes what they want to do is so for example, if I just said super.setAge, and I just left it like this, okay, then return. Okay, if I left it like this is now doing everything that this is doing. Okay, but like for example, let's say like in this example that I had here, I'm going to just do Command Z a couple of times. Okay, what I did was I said, okay, let's say I wanted to get the age, override it, and then multiply it by 2, because when you're a student, your grade is factored in a different way, or your age is factored in a different way. So what I did is I said int new age equals super.setAge. What super.setAge here is going to do is it's going to take the age here, and it is going to override this global variable the same way that it did up here. So it's going to do all of this. Then when it's done, it's going to multiply that by 2 and store it in new age and return the new age. So notice what I did. What's the first thing I did? I did int new age. I declared a variable. And then I used super within that variable, because you have to remember, I'm returning something. I've got to do something with that data. Okay, whether it's printing it to just get it out of the way or storing it, I've got to do something with that data. And then what's happening here? But super, the key thing is I did int first. With a constructor, super always has to come first. Okay? So that's the thing, Benny, is like super can be stored. You could do, let's say you need to do something in a method. You need to do that. You still need to do that process, but in this new class, you got to do all these calculations first and then do that method. You can do all those calculations and then run super. Super can go anywhere in the method. Okay, Benny?
Thank you.
Does that
Mr.
help?
Marty,
Yeah, that helps a lot.
Okay, yeah.
I was gonna say, what happens whenever you're using super, but there's another method inside your inherited method?
Like for example, if I did like a get name and I had like a get name in there.
Yeah.
Okay, so for example, let's say this public to string right here, and I did get name, and let me just create a get name method real quick. Okay. All right, so, okay, I've got, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Is this closing? Should be closing this class. There we go. Why is this public string get name?
Semicolon.
Sorry about that. Thank you for that. Okay, there we go. All right, so now I've got to get name, okay? So take a look. So if I've got the method in there, so in this case, what I'll do is I'll override the toString. Public string toString. Now, again, I've told you guys, toString is a special method, right? String is a special method. But here's the thing. It's still a method. So the minute that I opened up this bracket, I have overridden it. So if I just do return super.toString, it works fine. Because again, super just says, do everything that you did in the super class. Okay, I'm using the getter here. It's fine because I inherited the getter. When I extended the class, I inherited that getter also. So I'm fine. Okay, the only time it would be an issue is, for example, if I said private, okay, then we are probably going to have some issues, okay? But the good thing is we don't, well, actually it still works because I'm still using it in here. So bad example. But if I were doing private and something like that, I tried to access it, then you'd have an issue.
Mr. Marty,
Yes.
I meant it like when you have basically two overloaded methods, you have two different methods that are inside both your inherited class and the class that you're inheriting from.
What?
Like, I was doing a practice multiple choice question, and it had one where you have a method in that you're inheriting, and it's returning another method that is inside the inherited class and also inside the class that you're inheriting from. It's like it's two overloaded things.
You have a method that is in the superclass, right?
Yes. Yes.
It's overloaded in the superclass.
Yeah.
You inherit it.
Yes.
You inherit both of the overloaded methods.
I guess.
Yes.
Okay.
So you inherit with inheritance. It doesn't matter if the methods are overloaded or that has nothing to do with anything. You got to remember, it's same name, different parameters. So if you override one of them, it's only going to affect the one with the parameter. I'd have to see it. You have to send me a screenshot.
Yeah. Okay, I will.
Send me a screenshot of it. I can do a better explanation of it because it's kind of hard. Just send me a screenshot.
Yeah.
I can explain it. I can send you a short video.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else? Anything, guys? Anything's fair game for right now. Anything.
Does everything that you use in your inherited class in the subclass, does your constructor need to also have everything that you're putting in super?
At minimum, yes.
Okay.
So for example, if you had three variables in the constructor. Now again, okay, so here's the thing. Okay, let's take a look at this. All right, let's say public int string name, and then I said private double GPA. Okay. All right. And then I said int name, this dot age, et cetera, et cetera. We're going to go over this in a second too, because I need you guys to see that as well. Okay. And then I said GPA. Okay. So I said GPA equals 0.0. Okay. So if I go down to my constructor, take a look how I have no errors. Super is only responsible when you're using super, it's only responsible, you only put parameters in for the ones that you accepted parameters for. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But also notice though, that, okay, even though you're down here, even though, so GPA, let me get rid of double GPA. Okay, let me get rid of this one real quick. Okay, keep in mind that you still have, when you called super, GPA still got initialized. Okay. Now here's the, okay, so here's the other thing, all right? So in terms of super, all right, let's say that I printed out a person object and I said person A equals new person five. Okay, now I print this. Notice that I have a print statement in my constructor, okay? So what gets printed out? Person created. But let's say that I change this to student. You'll notice in here, where is it? Okay, that I have, it says student created. Why is this giving me an error? What is this doing? Okay, that's weird. Do I have something? Oh, no, that's right. Okay, that's right. All right, so notice that I have student here. Okay, now take a look what happens. Person created, student created. Super is not only initializing the variables in the same way that it did, but it's basically saying, okay, you're doing everything that the constructor did. That constructor initialized the global variables in this way, but it also manually made GPA 0.0 and it printed out this statement. You are inheriting, so basically when you have a constructor that accepts parameters, you inherit that. But Java is smart enough to know that, hey, you've named this a different class, okay? If you're going to properly inherit everything I have, you need a constructor too that abides by, at minimum, the same things that I did in my constructor in the super class. In this instance, it means accepting these two parameters, initializing them this way, setting GPA to 0, and printing this out. Afterwards, do whatever you want, but at minimum, you're gonna do what I did. Does that make sense?
So when you have super, it would virtually do the same thing if you copied every single thing in your super class constructor and then put it in your subclass.
Exactly. So for example, it's just, so imagine it's this. I'm gonna get some errors, but it's basically that. Okay, and notice that you have person created and student created. It's basically the shortcut way of doing that, Betty.
Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mr. Marty?
Yeah.
So when you call on student in the tester class, are you calling on both the student and person?
Where? In here in the tester class?
Yes.
No, I'm only calling on student. But you got to remember that this runs because I inherited all of this. So again, super is saying do all, that's why it can be confusing. Whoa, wait a minute. You have person and this, but I only see student created here. Super is saying you've got to do all of this first before you can continue. You aren't calling on both. Now, this is something, it's called polymorphism. We're not there yet. Notice that there's no errors. Okay, we will go over that soon. Okay, but when you are creating a student object, you are only referring to this. Okay, it has no idea that any of this exists, Ali. In Java's mind, you have a carbon copy of this in here. But because there's certain rules that say you have to do things the way that I did them in order to copy it, that's why we get stuff like person created when we don't see it here. Anyone else?
If you have an overloaded constructor in the main subclass, I mean the main superclass, you can just use the default in the subclass, right?
Yes. Anyone else?
So, Mr. Marty, I just pulled up the multiple choice question, and now I have an idea of how to explain it to you.
Okay, well, send me a screenshot of it. Take a screenshot of it. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, send me a screenshot because that way what I can do is I can pull it up for everybody and then I can explain it. Let me know when you've sent it.
Okay.
Okay, guys, let's see what Nick is talking about. Let me know when you got it, Nick.
Yep. I'm sending it right now.
Okay, let me know.
Okay, there you go. Should be sent.
Okay, give me 1 second, guys. Let's see what Nick is talking about here. Okay. Okay, let's see. All right. Interesting screenshots. Okay.
The whole thing, I was doing it on mine. It's all
Okay, so I'm going to put them both right here. Okay, so you have public class arithmetic 1. Okay, so you have 2 methods here. Okay, so hopefully Nick is watching this, everyone. So I'm still going to go over this. Okay, so we have public class arithmetic 1. So you have 2 methods. Do you see any constructors here? Does anyone see any constructors here? There's no constructors. So we have return num plus multiply nums num. Okay, so what this is basically doing is it's saying it's going to take this parameter that you have, okay, and what you're going to do is you're going to add it to this plus, and then return num times 2. So for example, if I did 4, it's going to be 4 plus, and in this case, it's going to take 4, and it's going to return num times 2, which would be 8. So this is going to return 12. Do we all see that? It's just calling on its method within internally. Okay, so then we have public int perform math int num. Okay, return super dot perform math. So because you have inherited this method, if I put in 4, it is basically going to do exactly what this does. It's going to return 12. Okay. Now in this instance, I see what you're saying here. Okay. So in this instance, what it's done is this. This is a good question. So in this instance, you have overridden num. So now I see what you're talking about. So now let's say in this one, it's going to be 4 times 2. But in this instance, it's going to be 4 times 10.
Yeah, that's what I was confused about.
Yeah, so basically, what this isn't an overloaded method. This is just a method. And here, this is an example of method overriding. So this is super perform.math. It's going to look for this method. And because it's not private, it's going to look to call on it. Because you overrode it, it's going to default to this one. So this one is going to be, let's say I put in 4. If I put 4 up here, this is going to return 12 because it's going to be 4 plus 8. If I put here 4, it's going to be 4 plus, and in this case 40, it will be 44.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys all see that? Okay. So you got to get your terminology right, Nick. There's no overloading there. That's method overriding. Overloading is when the methods have the same name in the same class with different parameters.
Okay.
Okay. Method overriding is when you take when the method exists in the superclass and you open it up to change what's in it.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. That just sounds like just a mixture in terminology. Okay. All right. Anybody else, guys? Okay. Well, if that's not it, okay. Well, good luck. I will talk to you guys later. If any of you guys have a question, I will see you Monday. Your homework is already online, the reading, and you guys already have your book. So, guys, it's been a good. We're almost there. Believe it or not, 3 weeks left in the first semester. You guys are doing great. Okay. All right. Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.